live on YouTube today, so if anyone wants to share this on their Facebook so that some people out there can see it on YouTube, that would be great. I wonder if I can share. Oh, I can share. I'll share it with a few people right now. I want you to, as I'm doing that, I am going to, as I'm sharing it, I would like you to get your paints out and get it ready. So let me flip this around. We're going to be doing an owl. Okay, so I did an owl a few months back where it was two and they went together. So if you're painting with somebody, you can go ahead and grab two canvases and get ready for that. So I'm going to get my paints ready and put them down for you to see what I have and how much paint I have while we are waiting for other people to join us. So I have a paintbrush, I have a sponge brush, and then I'm going to have a square brush. Okay, and those are the things that we're going to need for this. So we're gonna wait a few more minutes while we wait for other people to come in. I suggest that you turn on some good music and get ready to go. Okay, like I said before, we need white, we need the primary colors, and then we need a bit of black. And the painting that we're basing it off of today is going to be the owl that you saw right here. And with this painting, it's a double painting. So if you want to put your painting, like if you want to make two, you can, or if you have somebody that you're painting with, you can do that with them. So I'm going to be working off of this painting as we go. Okay, we're going to start in 2 more minutes, everyone. If you have any questions during the video, make sure you are putting a message on here, and I will be able to see it really quickly because of the way I have it set up. I'm going to be using one canvas. I'm going to be making it vertical like this. Well, maybe I'll make it horizontal. That might be easier to see. But you have the ability to change it however you would want. Okay, starting in 1 more minute, we're going to start our painting. Okay, we're going to go ahead and begin. The one thing that I need you to keep in mind when you're doing your painting is that you are doing this painting for yourself. You are going to be the artist during this whole entire time, so you can change it however you want. Now, a few things. I'm going to be painting one portrait of an owl on here. If you want to make a few owls on here, that might look cool. Like if you want to do a portrait here, and a portrait here, and a portrait upside down, that might be interesting for you to do. Or if you want to do like I did with the double one, like this one, you can do one side and let somebody else do the other. I did that during a paint night that I had with some people at Turtle Bay, and we had a few people doing one side and the other. It turned out pretty cute when they both took their individual pieces home, but it's kind of like a friendship owl sort of thing. So I'm going to try to match what I've done on that painting as close as possible, but you get to choose a lot of different things. You get to choose what color you're going to do the background, what color you're going to be doing the owl, and some of the ways that you're going to do your brush work. So if I have a specific thing that I need to show you, I will show you on a different piece of paper so that it is a little bit easier. We're going to start first with a flat brush or a sponge brush. So I have this brush right here. We're going to use a lot of white, and we're going to be putting some blue and some green and yellow into this with some really nice brush work. Painterly brush work, meaning you can see the brush strokes. Let's see what else for this. We're gonna go pretty light in the background so that it dries in time for us to do our owl. So don't go too heavy in the background, but you want to make sure it covers the whole entire thing. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take my white, take a little bit of yellow, a little bit of blue, and I'm going to be making a green. But if you want to do just a black background, or if you want to do a red background, or if you want to tint that with white, you could do that. So you're just gonna spread it on and cover the whole thing. Warm up your arm to do some painting today. Cover the entire thing, warm it up. Cover the entire canvas. If you're just joining us, we're just covering the whole entire canvas with a background of your choice, whatever color you want. I'm trying to match the owl that I have as a reference. And like I said before, you can choose which direction you want to paint your owl. It could be this direction, it could be vertical, it could be horizontal. You can make your owl tilting its head off to the side. It's your choice. And then the amount of owls you paint today, it's your choice. Pretty flat. It doesn't have I can't see a lot of brush strokes, but I'm gonna add in some just to create some variation and some liveliness into the background. Okay, and if you want to share this site or this live session with somebody, you can just, it's pretty easy. You just have to click the share button and you can copy a link, send it to somebody so they can participate with you and have a little bit of a paint party. All right, so I covered mine with a yellow background. It's pretty light yellow background. You can use whatever color you want in your background. I'm lucky in my studio I have a sink. So that's what I'm doing right now. I accidentally dipped my brush in black, so I'm washing my brush and getting some water. All right, I'm gonna wait a few minutes while everybody gets to this point right here. Okay, let's see. If you are waiting for everybody else to finish covering their sides, what you could do is you can paint, or you were waiting for everybody else to cover their whole painting, what you could do is you can start painting the sides. Okay, so on this site, I have put live chat. So if you have any questions at any point, please go ahead and ask those questions. I'm gonna see if I'm gonna turn this off if we can see a little bit more. Nope. This shadow is bothering me a little bit. There we go. Oh, perfect. Okay, we can see a little bit better now. Okay. Can I see if we can move on? Is everybody ready to move on? If so, you can just put yes on the live chat. Okay. Well, I haven't really gotten any responses from you, but that's okay. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and start. If you need to go back and check to see maybe you missed something, you can watch this video again and you can speed it up and make it go back. So what we're going to do is we're going to do like the basic outline of the owl. What I would like you to do is I would like you to use like a little round brush for this. And those of you who are using gel pens or color pencils or pencils, you can go ahead and do this with us right now. So I'm going to be using like a really dark green. Okay, and I just mix that on my palette. What we're gonna do is we're going to be making a, let's make a big U shape right here. So a big happy face. Everybody is happy that they're painting today. All right, and then from there, we're gonna be making two lines that kind of go down a little bit. So it kind of goes unhappy face shape, happy face shape, unhappy face shape, sort of. It just comes down just a little bit. All right. Now from there, we're going to be making a little bit of an unhappy face shape, sort of mimicking what happened down here. And we're drawing or painting the top of your owl, the top of the owl right there. It's the top of the head. We're then going to connect these two lines. And I'm going to stop for a second just so that everybody is ready to go. Kind of looks like Baby Yoda right now. What do you think? Baby Yoda, top of the head. That's a really big thing in my class, is Baby Yoda. All right. So now what we're going to do is we are going to be drawing in the beak, the eyes, and the bottom of the ear right up there. So we'll start first with the beak. The beak is going to be a little bit lower than the brow. So we're going to go ahead and make this almond shape. It's like a little bit of an almond shape on the side. Instead of being horizontal, it will be vertical. We're then going to be making circles. We're going to start off with a little tiny circle here and a little tiny circle over here. This is the beginning of the eye. So this is more or less going to be the pupil. We're going to be painting over this. So this is not the end of the color. This is just so that we have something laid out so then we can start painting it. Kind of like how a coloring book is laid out for us, and then we get to color everything on the inside. We're making the coloring part of it. We're then going to be making a circle shape around that. A circle shape around this. Okay. So right here, this is the pupil. This is the iris. Okay. And then we're going to be doing the feathery part of the eyes going around. So that will be our last circle that we have. So we're going to go around. And then we're going to go around. And I'm going to check this head on so I can see if it is symmetrical. Sometimes when I'm painting, when I'm looking at it from a different perspective, I don't really see how symmetrical something is. But it's all right because I can change it if I need to, because this is acrylic. Acrylic is a very, very forgiving material. So it allows me to go back over it, kind of like white out when you're writing something. All right. Cool. Oh, I believe you can go back. So if you did miss something, you could just go back and replay it. I didn't know that you could do that. So at any point, like if you're working and you're a little bit behind us, that's okay. And if you need help, just put a little note on there so I can help you with anything at any point. All right, next thing we're gonna do is we are going to be bringing, we'll do this, we'll do the face of the owl. We're gonna bring a big C shape that goes around the face, another big C shape that goes around the face. Okay, we're going to bring it up to the owl beak. He is turning out to be a cutie. Hopefully everybody can hear me too. So I'll turn this up if, yeah, I think so. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to finish the ear by going all the way to this point right here. We can go a little bit past it. We're going to fill this in with feathers going in that direction. We're going to do the same thing with feathers going in that direction. Okay. And then the last thing that we're going to do before we start filling things in is we're going to be painting the shoulders. So you're going to bring it down and then bring it down. All right. So now that we have everything pretty much laid out, what we're going to do is we're going to fill in everything. So we're going to be filling in the lighter parts first. So for me, my owl has really, really light eyes and they're yellow. So I'm going to fill that in. And then I have a little bit of yellowness on the inside of the eyes. Okay, so we'll start off with the eyes and then we'll just work our way out. I'm still going to be using this brush right here. I like using it when it's pretty dirty, but it's a little bit too dirty. So if you need to clean it, get a thing of water, just mix it around, and then what you're going to do is I have a towel right here. I just wipe it off on the towel. If you are done painting, somebody asked me about washing their brushes earlier, and what you could do is you can get some hand soap and do this type of pattern with the soap and the brush, and then just keep rinsing it in the sink. And that should work pretty well. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and we'll start with painting the inside of the eyes. So we're just going to be using this brush for right now. And I can go over pretty much everything, even if it's over the blue. If some of the blue comes out, that's fine. Okay. If you wanted to do this part a little bit lighter, such as light pink or a light green, you could do that too. All right. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to make it's kind of like an orange color. What you're going to do is you're going to put a little bit of yellow down, or you can choose a different color if you want to. And we're going to be making our brush strokes going away from the eye. Do you see how I'm doing it? So this is good practice before you start really adding into it, adding the red into it. I have a little bit of red happening right now. Unintentional, but it's happening all the same. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of red. Just go around. Maybe some of you are picking up patterns and you're going to be making a pattern that goes around. You still see this blue. This blue is going to go away when we start adding in black. But it's a good way to really keep our lines without really covering it up too much. So now I'm going to add in a little bit more yellow. And then I'm going to stop for a few minutes just so that everybody can catch up if they need to. Remember, you can pause the video if you need to. That's pretty nice. That happens on YouTube. I don't think I could do that with the Facebook. Okay, I'm also going to be adding more light feathers over here. Now you can kind of see how feathery it gets. Perfect. That looks cool. I like that. All right. Do some light white over here. I don't have any questions. I wonder if that's working, if that part's working. Maybe you can just write a little bit of a note to me just to make sure I know that it works. So if not, that's something that I'm going to have to change next time. Okay, I'm going to wait for a second while it dries. Oops, almost hit my head. Sorry. There we go. I had to go do something too. Okay. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to be painting the top. Now, if you want to change your canvas so it goes into a different direction, you can. So I am going to be making just horizontal lines, and because your hand naturally has this curve, this works out perfect for me, so I don't have to move it around. Some of you might be painting with your left hand. That would be this hand like that. But some of you might be having a hard time with that, so you can just change the direction if you need to. I'm going to start off with yellow so that you guys can see it. Just the variation. So all I'm doing is just making these brush strokes. They're going to be big and bold in the beginning, and then I'm going to really, really clean them up as I go. So big and bold strokes in the beginning. In the very end, we're going to be adding all of the black, and the black is really going to make everything pop. But as far as right now, we're just filling in with some light colors and brush strokes. So one thing that a lot of people have asked. Okay, thanks, Bridget. One thing that has really worked in the past, or some people have asked in the past, is how to make brown. So the way that you make brown is a little bit of yellow, and actually a lot of yellow, a little bit of red, and a tiny bit of blue. And what that will do is it will make a brown for you. So you can change up the value of that by adding in white or even a little bit of black, and that will darken or lighten your color for you. So I'm just making horizontal lines right now. and then adding a little bit of white as I go. Okay, and then now I'm going to go up to the ears. These are going to, lines are going to go in this direction. They're going to be a little bit longer than these brush strokes. So these brush strokes were supposed to be like little tiny brush strokes. These ones are going to go up. So I'll start first with, I guess I started with white, do a little bit more yellow. And I'm going to bring it up a little bit past the first initial ear that I had. So I'm going to go bloop. If you want to make that noise, you can. Nobody is listening to you. Well, maybe somebody's listening, I don't know. I'll do the same thing over here. So I have that filled in pretty much, and then I'm going to be starting to add in some more white just to create more of a value change. But it's different, a different color than the top of the head. We're going to add in some grays to this when we get into our black, but that will be in the end. Okay. Next thing that we're going to do is we are going to go in and we're going to be adding some blue or a darker color underneath the ears. Now, this part right here is going to be almost black. Okay. But we're just going to be adding blue to it for right now. And just to get a good idea of which direction our brush strokes are going, we're just going to practice. So our lines are going to go in this direction right here. We'll do the same thing on this side too. If you guys have any ideas of what you'd want to do for the next paint night, please feel free to email me or message me, and I will definitely take that into consideration for the next thing that we do. A lot of these paint nights are nights that you can do with, you know, kids. If you'd like to do them with kids, that would be great. I have friends who have kids of all ages, and they did these paint nights with them, and they came up with some really, really cool things. So these are the brush strokes that you are going to need for the underside of the ears. All right. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go center and work our way out. We're going to start first with the beak, and I'm going to make it really blue because I don't want you guys to be using black quite yet. So I'm just going to be adding a blue beak, just filling it in. Maybe making it a little bit more pointy at the end. Okay. And then I'm going to be starting to make little teeny tiny brush strokes that are going to go vertically and then work our way out a little bit. And then when we get to this part, it's going to go around, kind of like a sun radiating from the eyes. That's what the feathers are going to be doing around the eyes. So I'm going to lighten that up with a little bit of white. making these little teeny tiny feathers that go around the beak. And because we're going to go over this later, if your brush strokes go onto the beak, oh, it's okay, because you can go back over it with your black. And if you like that little teeny tiny feather right here, you can just avoid going over that with black. Okay. I am then going to take my brush and just gather some paint that I have, and I'm just going to go around the eye and radiate around. So all of these ones are just going to go all the way around, but we're still going to have this distinct line right here. And I have a lot of paint on my brush when I'm doing this so that I can repeat it. Now if you start hearing your brush kind of go sound like sandpaper, it might be a little bit too dry. So you might have to go and gather a little bit more paint and then work your way into it. And I'm just keep going back and forth a little bit. Okay, now that I have that part, I'm going to do the same thing to this side. So I'm going to take a little bit of yellow and start bringing the brush strokes over here. Now, I don't know if you guys can hear it, like with my brush. Can you hear that? That means my brush is too dry, so I need to get more paint. And we're going to have these cute little lines going all the way around, radiating from the eyes. Cool. All right, now that we have some of these brush strokes laid out, what we're going to do now is we're going to go into the shoulders of the bird. In some areas I have a brown color, so I'm going to show you how to make brown really quickly, and then we're going to use some of that brown, go over the entire bird, and then we're going to use some black and then go over the entire bird, and then we're going to start rendering a little bit more. So the way that you make brown is you take you take yellow and red together, so we have this orange color. The complement to orange is blue, and then you mix that in. Okay, now it looks a little maybe it looks a little bit orange. Okay, so that is brown. If you need to make more of that, you can. You want to tint it a little bit, add a little bit of white, because a lot of people, when they're making a flesh color, they need to make a brown color. Then they can darken it by adding a little bit more blue, or they can make it a little bit more white, and that will create kind of a fleshy color. All right, this is kind of green. So if it's green, then you add red to it. If it's turning out to look a little bit more violet or orange, you add a little bit more. If it looks violet, add yellow. If it's turning out orangey, then you add blue. Okay, so with the bottom of the bird, we're gonna have these large brush strokes. We're gonna be using our sponge brush for that for the most part, but this is sort of how I wanna lay it out, okay? And then I'm also gonna have some really nice white strokes in there. So I'm gonna be putting a little bit of that before I start adding in all the other stuff that I have to add into it. Hopefully you guys are listening to music and you're not just listening to my my paint jiggle around like that. Please send me your pictures of your paintings because I want to see what you've done. I think that's the coolest part of this whole thing. I show you how to do something and then you paint with me. I don't know who's painting with me really. Some of you have told me that you were going to do this today and you're here with me, but I really don't know who's here. But if you send me your picture, I know that you're here and know that you've been painting. So it's basically how I'm going to be laying out this part. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit more brown to other parts. So I'm going to grab some more of this brown. I want it on the eye, like a little bit above the eye. Right here, I'll do the same thing over here. I want this brown to be on the top of the head too. Anytime you add a color to a composition, you don't necessarily just want to put it on one part of the composition. Even if it's just like a little tiny brush stroke, that helps create the illusion of being consistent. And I've broadened the shoulders a little bit over here. So if you are making like a violet bird and then you put yellow, like one part over here, even if you do just a few brush strokes of that same color, it's going to carry out through your composition. It's going to look really, really nice. So you have to make sure you're thinking about the whole entire composition. Okay, so that's why we added a little bit of brown. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to start adding in black. So black, we're going to just dip our brush in the black. Start first with the eyes because the eyes are pretty much the first thing that we started off. If you make a mistake and it's not as round as you want it to look, just leave it alone until it dries and then you're going to work your way back into it. Let me see. Go look. Put it straight on. That looks pretty good. I'll do the same thing over here. All right. Maybe they're not that symmetrical, so I'm going to go back in a little bit more. Okay. Now I'm going to go into the beak. Make it really, really dark. Okay. Next thing, I'm going to do some rings. I'll do this ring right here. And I'm reiterating and kind of like a bullseye, I'm going around that eye. I'm going to do this side too. above the eye, we kind of have a few dark parts that we're going to be putting into it, but we're just going to keep adding into it where it's really, really dark. So I'm going to add in just a line here, a line here. All right, so now I'm going to start adding in the under part of the ear. So I'm going to start with a really, really thin line that goes above the eye, and then I'm going to thicken it out. So I'm going to start with the tip of my brush. I'm going to go above the eye. That was a really, really thin part, but I have a lot of paint on my brush. So then I'm going to go in and then just really press down. See that? I'm going to do the same thing over here. It's a little tricky, so I'm going to flip it around. I'm going to go like this, really, really thin. And I'm just following this line, and I'm going to press down. There we go. I'm going to wait a minute or so while you guys are catching up. We're then going to start adding more of the black into it, but we're also going to add some gray into it and some brown into it. This is our basically a coloring book that we've colored a little bit. Now we're coloring into it a little bit more. If you have any questions, please let me know. And then because this is on Facebook, or sorry, it is on YouTube, you can share this with other people. So if they're like, oh, I really want to do paint nights at home, I will have these on my YouTube channel so that you can look at them later. All right, so after we're done with that, we're going to start adding in more blackness to it. So we're going to we're going to start right here on the nose. It's very central. And if you're working and you don't want to lay your hand on your canvas, which you shouldn't be doing, you can hold your hand with your other hand, especially if you're not working with an easel. Just hold your hand with your other hand, and that should help so you don't touch your canvas. So we have our vertical lines, just little teeny tiny brush strokes going in the eye. Now it's really starting to look more dramatic, which is nice. If you're using a different color than black, that's cool. I want to see it. Take a picture of it and share it with me. And if your brush goes a little bit dry with this, it's okay because feathers are pretty inconsistent. Okay, we're going to do the same thing underneath the ears up here. But we're going to fill it in just a little bit more than around the beak. Okay, now we're gonna go on top of the ears. This part right here is a little bit darker in value, so we're just gonna do a few brush strokes in here and a few more over on the side. So we'll do like, I don't know, 10 or 20. I don't really know how many brush strokes I did. I'm just filling it in a little bit. And then when I get to this point right here, I'm going to do a few. Because my brush is getting a little dry, that's perfect. All right. Now we're going to work our way down with just a little bit more black. And then we're going to start in with gray. And then we'll do like the chunkier strokes over here. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and just make a few more brush strokes coming down here like that. Ooh, oops, I'm going in the wrong direction. It's okay, I'll cover that up. No one will know. Only you guys will know. And we're starting to get that gray that I want to get in there. Okay. I do want to show some of the color that I have in the background, but we're going to start adding in gray. So the way that you make gray is adding white to your brush. Okay, I have kind of a dirty brush right now, so it's pretty easy to just add in or add a little bit of white to the brush, and then it turns gray. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding a little bit more gray to the feathers around the nose or the beak. Pretty cute right there. Okay, then I'm going to do some larger brush strokes coming out and going into those radiating ones. Going around. Okay, now I'm going to add in more white, keeping some of that yellow showing underneath. And if I want to go back into it and add more color to that, I can do that. There's that option for it. So I'm going to add a little bit of lighter gray up here. You always want to pull your paintbrush when you're painting. You never want to push it. So you're pulling your brush. So when you're pushing it, it's harder to control. If you're pulling it, it's easier. See, I'm pulling it. Pull it. Pull it. Going on the inside of the ears a little bit. And we're going to go to the tips of the ears. Okay, now we're going to add some gray to the top with those very horizontal brush strokes that we've done in the past, keeping some of what we've done on the underneath. We want it to be showing still. It's hard to talk and paint at the same time. I don't know how Bob Ross does it. Maybe he stops when he paints. I'm just going to keep going. All right, I'm going to go up a little bit with, oh, that's not gray enough. A little bit up here. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of brown to this. I'm going to have to go back into the top of the ears a little bit more. I want them to be more like, I don't know, feathery at the ends. So that's something that I have to think about. But I'll do that. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to do, now that we've covered up most of what we've already laid out, we haven't covered up this. And then after that, we're going to add in the highlights of the eyes, and then we're just going to render. That means we're going to be adding paint to areas that we see fit. Like if you have some spots that you're just like, I really don't like the dryness right here, I'm going to go over this and make it more feathery. That's something that you can do while we are just rendering. So now that we've covered everything, the bottom half, we need to use a different brush. And the reason why, it's because there's more feathers. It almost looks like it's spotty, so I want to make sure that you get that going. So I'm going to be using my square brush. You can also use this brush. I'm going to be using this one for right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make vertical strokes with this brush. So I made a few vertical strokes. There's some paint on here. Okay. Now I'm going to add some brown to this. I'm going to do that same sort of a pattern where I'm just doing those brush strokes. It's a little bit, or has a little bit of red in here. So I should back over that. I'll flip this around. It's kind of pretty, so maybe I'll leave it and then make sure I go up here maybe with that color. How about that? So I'm not just leaving it down here. I'm moving it up a little bit, going into a different spot. So I'm not, in this lesson, I'm trying to help you with composition too. So whenever you're doing your own paintings, you're like, why does it look really great over here and not so much over here? It's because you probably didn't spread that color around a little bit. This is a good brush to use too, to like add in some of those feathery details too. Okay, next up I'm going to use black, and I'm just going to go right next to the brown that I've made. Okay, and now that I have black in this brush, I'm just going to add a little bit of white to it and just kind of go into other spots. I have to plug in one of my phones. Ooh, that looks really red over here. I don't really want that. Or it looks pink. So I will probably let that dry and then go back into it. Okay, now we are going to be making the little spots. So clean your brush, just put it in water, hit the bottom, and then dry it off. Should have a clean brush. And we're going to be putting these little highlights in the eyes. Typically, when you do one thing to an eye, you want to do the same thing to an eye. So I'm just going to put a dot here and a dot here, because whatever is reflecting, it's doing the same reflection on this eye in the same direction. So look at your eyes in the mirror next time, and you'll see like what the reflection is doing it on either of the eyes. So if you have like a square pattern happening because you have something square reflecting into your eye, you're going to have that same thing happening into your other eye. So that's just something to be aware of. All right, I don't want to waste that white, so I'm going to be adding some more brush strokes in different areas. But I think I'm going to pick up that sponge brush again because I was having a really good time just adding in those feathers. I'll do that after I've added some white feathers with this brush. Okay. So now that I've added all this to it, what you can do is you can start adding more feathers. You can cover up some feathers, some feather flaws if you'd like to. If you want to add in another bird or another owl, if you want to add another creature in there, if you want to add anything else in here, this is the time to do it and have fun. You're the artist, you get to experiment with this a little bit. I'm just giving you a little bit of a map. Okay? All right, so I'm gonna start adding a few more things. If you have any questions, just put them in the comments so then I can see them and read them. Bridget already tried that out for me, so I'm able to see that you are able to comment, which is awesome. And yeah, so I'm just gonna be painting. I'm not gonna talk as much as I have been, so you can start painting and just relax and keep painting. I think somebody made a comment that they might want to do some sunflowers, so we might do that next week. Let me know if you have any thoughts about sunflowers. If you'd like to do sunflowers, we could do that. What did we do last? Oh, we did. That's right. We did a cactus. Okay. So I'm going to put some more orange in the eye. So I'm going to be adding some orange spots. This is going to help with this spot right here. I added it up here, so it's going to create some consistency. That looks pretty. I hope these paint nights are helping you guys just escape a little bit from your the current situation. They really help me because I have to prepare. I have to think about things other than myself for a little bit, and that's like one thing that I really miss about teaching, because I really like helping my students out, helping them do what they would like to do with their projects, and just it's pretty interesting to see how people think, because not one person really, if you think about it, we don't think alike. Everybody thinks differently on how to do stuff. Everybody processes things so differently. So that's partly why I like to do this, is because you guys are all processing what I'm putting out there differently, and it's going to be different. What you came up with is different than everybody else's. Even if you're trying to match this perfectly, it's not going to be perfect. I can see some of you are already going backwards, or not backwards, but going back to work on maybe parts that you've missed. The eyes are just a little bit too dramatic for me, so I'm going to go back over them, and then I'm going to darken this part again. Whoa, I put up too much white. Whatever I did to that side, I want to do this side, so keep it consistent, but I'm going to fix those parts. Whoa, what do I do? That was a lot of paint. Whoops. I'm going to add some of that green that I had in the very beginning. I think that would be super cool to add that variation into it. Maybe make a little bit of a green eye. I'm going to fix these eyes a little bit. Oh, it's a little lopsided. Gotta make him a little bit more on the side. I just changed my perspective. So, like, if you need to look at your painting a little bit further away, that might be an option for you to really think about your composition. Looking at things from a distance is a really good way of seeing things from a different perspective, and it allows you to make changes to your painting, especially because these paintings are hung on a wall. They're not like meant for you to have a placemat, meaning like right in front of you. So hang it on the wall, make it, and then step back, look at it from a distance. That's going to allow you to see anything that you need to change to it, any changes that you'd like to make to it. And then at any point, if you'd like, you can send me your picture, and if you don't feel like it's done, you can send it to me, and then I can help you make choices to change it. Today was a very relaxing day for me because I wasn't scrambling to go, oh, I want to be on YouTube, but I can't. I finally got the access to do it, so I don't have to worry about putting it on Facebook anymore, which is pretty nice. And then I can just share a link with my Facebook people who are interested in participating. They could just find the link on YouTube and then go from there. I haven't received any messages asking where the link was, which is nice too, because that is a little stressful trying to get everybody ready to go and then I'm trying to get this painting going too. Technology. Everybody's becoming really good at that right now. If you want to make a lesson online and you need some advice, I'm here for you too. So if you want to show how to draw something, make something, and then edit your videos, I can show you how to do that. But that would be like a one-on-one thing, so I would have to talk to you individually about it. If you want to have like a Zoom paint night, and it's not like on the same time, it's not like on a Saturday at 2, then there's an option to just replay one of these Facebook one or YouTube ones, and you can start painting with your friends. That might be something fun for you to do. I've had a Zoom game night with some friends. That was pretty cool. Yeah, I bet there's some other things that you could do on Zoom and then work your way with what else you could do. Like play a game or something else. I don't know. If any of you have an idea as far as like games that you could play online together in groups of like 6, I'd be interested to know what you guys play. I think that would be pretty fun. Don't forget to name your owl. This is, I don't know what he looks like right now. Maybe a I'll think about the name of my owl and I'll let you know. You should see my apron. It has lots of paint on it because I keep wiping it off. I'm just having a good time painting this, but I don't know, just rendering it and just putting brush strokes on here. Let me start stopping in a few minutes. If you need any help, I'm here for you, just so everybody knows. I'm gonna go back in and render a little bit more with this teeny tiny brush stroke, teeny tiny brush strokes. Notice that I'm still pulling the brush, and then I kind of choked up on it. Typically I paint with my hand that far back, but I'm trying to be. Cool. All right, just a few more minutes and we're gonna be done. Maybe we'll call him Philip. Philip, the cute little fella. All right, and then don't forget to sign your name when we're completely done. So sign your name and send it to me. Let me see what you've done. Send a group shot. If you did this with your friends or family, hopefully it was just your family. And I think I'm pretty much done with this. Just gonna do a few more touches. I'll be done. So I'm gonna put a little signature at the bottom. There we go. And I think I'm done. Go ahead and take a snapshot if you need to. And then, yeah, I look forward to seeing what you have made, and thank you for taking the time to paint with me today. I really appreciate it, even though I'm not really, I really don't know who's out there watching this, but I can see that some of you are on, and it just makes it feel like I'm still working and doing stuff in the community, and those are the things that I love to do. So hopefully I get to see you next week, and I believe we are going to be painting, we'll be painting I think some sunflowers. So if you know of somebody who is interested in doing sunflowers, please send them the link that I will have available on my YouTube channel and on my Laura Studio page, my art studio page. Okay, have a great day everyone, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.